Hey, it's Frank here with Frank's DIY and Homeowner Tips, and today I'm doing one that I wanted to do for a little while. I am building a wall and a closet, all integrated in this area here. So we're going to take this and make it into a bedroom. Kind of looks like a bedroom now, but we're going to put a wall across this face here, and then we're going to tie it into another wall that goes this way to make a closet in this space right here. Right? So this is what the diagram, the sketch is looking like. So this is the wall I'm going to make. It's going to have one door, a 32-inch door there, and the rest will just be framed out. And then we'll put double studs here and bring another wall off of it. This is a top view now. Bring another wall off of it to put in a double door walk-in closet there. So we'll tie it all as best we can into studs and the concrete floor. We will remove baseboards and put some vapor barrier down underneath, cut the carpet away so that we're right down on the concrete. I will find some studs, I will not find others. It's not a huge wall, and so I'm not too worried about tying into every single stud. And little disclaimer here, this is not necessarily up to yours or any building code. This is what your average guy can do to make something that will last a long, long time. So thanks for joining me, hope you enjoy. Okay, so after looking for studs in the walls here, this is what I found. I found that this wall right here, I will not catch a stud. This is where my wall line is going to be, and that's where the stud is. So I won't get a stud there. But I will get a stud on top, I'll get a stud on the box, and I'll get a stud all along this side. And on the floor, I'm going to cut away the concrete, and I'm going to drive a concrete nails right into the concrete there. So my choice was to cut away some of this drywall or all of this drywall and put some blocking in for security, but I don't think I need to do that. This won't be a load-bearing wall, but I don't think that makes any difference. I think that wall and that door area, the jambs, will be more than strong enough to be able to facilitate that door without having to block that area and reinforce it. So again, that might not be a code, but I think for this job it'll do just fine. So I'm using this laser level to tell me what my line is going to be here for the wall. And I mean, this is a fantastic tool because it gives you every wall, floor plate, vertical wall, top plate, gives you everything right in one perfect line. And I came off of this wall here, so in this case you really can't worry about it being level. You have to be flush with this wall to start, and as you can see, I've marked in a 1/2 inch to accommodate the drywall. So studs are going to go on this side, drywall will occupy this right here. So I marked all the way around. First off, I marked the outside of the wall, which will be after the 1/2 inch drywall, and now I'm marking where the actual studs, walls, and floor plates are going to go. Okay, so I've removed the baseboards, and now is one of the, in my beliefs, most important part of the planning, and that is marking and cutting the carpet, right? We want to cut it here. We don't want to cut it in the space where the door is going to end up. We want to cut it everywhere the base plate is going to be, because we want the base plate to be nailed right into the concrete below. We're going to lay some vapor barrier down as well, because some codes want you to use pressure treated concrete pressure treated lumber when you're against concrete, but here they don't allow pressure treated lumber indoors. That's my understanding anyway, and you don't really need it. If you lay down some vapor barrier, you're just providing some protection between the wood and concrete so it doesn't absorb up some moisture. So I want to mark it so that the studs are on bare concrete, but then the drywall and, at worst case, just the trim, so the baseboards, are going to have to cover up that carpet, right? So I don't want to cut it too short, and I don't want to cut it too long, because if you cut it too short, the base plate will sit on the carpet, which is not acceptable. If you cut it too long, then you're going to see the hole in the carpet. So I'm going to take my time, measure, mark it up. And what I'm going to do is put 2 studs on this side of the wall, plus I'm going to put a spacer in the middle so that I can nail to the concrete in between the 2 studs. That'll be the most secure. And so that leaves me 3 studs coming out of the wall, or at least the space of 3 studs. And these are 2x4s. This is all my lumber here. These are 2x4s, the actual dimension of which is 1.5 by 3.5. So if I'm using 3 studs widthwise, that's going to be 3 times 1.5, which is 4.5 inches. So I'm going to come out 5 inches, and then I'm going to measure my door, which is right here. Measure the width of my door, and then mark out where the rest of the wall is going to end up. Okay, so after much calculating, measuring, recalculating, remeasuring, marking, I've come up with the space that I'm going to cut for the base plate here. You can just faintly see the marks there. And I got the door space, which is not going to be cut, and then the space for the base plate over here. So I'm going to cut it with with just a regular utility knife, which I know I will kill cutting against concrete, but it's got to be done. And what also I will have to end up cutting is the little wooden carpet grabber thing, spiky thing that's under here holding the carpet. So I'll cut the carpet first, and then I'll get to that, and I'll probably cut that out with a different tool. Here's the cut carpet. You can see I've cut through the underpad right down to the concrete floor. That's where the base plate is going to go. And you can see I still have to cut that little wooden carpet strip thing on both sides. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of those reciprocating cutter tools for that, because that blade's a little harder and a little more hardy than something like a handsaw or a chisel. I wouldn't want those to hit the ground there, but it should come out pretty easily. Okay, so here's the blade I'm going to use to cut that carpet secure thing. It's kind of a hybrid wood slash metal blade. I'm going to try not to cut all the way through the wood, just so that I don't wreck this blade. And we'll see how it goes. Well, that went really well. Now just pop the nails up, and that should come off nicely. One. And there's 2. So now we are ready to measure out the base plate, put some vapor barrier down, and put down that base plate. Okay, so I'm just going to show you an example of what you'd normally do here is cut out the entire base plate and then build your studs up from the base plate. And you would notch where you're going to want the door opening to go on the bottom. So you'd cut maybe halfway through the bottom plate on both sides here, and then once you have your studs up, you would cut the rest, you would cut the door opening, and that way you know that you're squared on your nice and straight board. But the problem here is that with this carpet here, if you tried to do that, then your boards won't sit flush, especially this one because it's such a short piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut individual pieces. I'm going to cut 2 individual pieces, and just make sure by lining them up with the laser level and squaring everything off that they do end up square. Okay? Okay, now here's a tool that I think is an absolute must if you're working with concrete or fastening the concrete. It's this ram set. So this is a gun essentially that shoots a nail into the concrete, and it works really well. You can buy different powder loads, as you can see here, different charges for it. Now I'm going to use this smaller charge right here because this piece is so small that I'm working with, I'm afraid I'm going to split it. It's a very good chance that I'm going to split it. So I'm going to try a small powder load, and I've pre-drilled the holes, and this is the size of nail that I'm going to drive in. And normally what happens is the head of the nail doesn't usually get all the way into the wood. Usually this kind of spongy rubbery thing gets squished by the head of the nail and remains just above the board. And if that's the case, there's a pretty good chance it will not split. But that's the chance you take when you work with small pieces of wood. If it does split, then I might have to find another way to fasten that wood. But we're going to give her a try. I'm going to lay down the vapor barrier. I'm going to make sure I've got the piece square by laying down my laser level there. And then we'll give it a shot. So the system looks something like this. And they have these that were, this is an individual single shot. This is about as cheap as you can get. You load up your charge, your 22 charge in there. You close the chamber. You load up your nail in here in the bottom. And I let the nail stick out a little ways so that I can find the hole that I've pre-drilled for it. And then you just hammer this end right here. I will wear some safety glasses when I go to do this. I should be wearing safety glasses for this whole job. I'm going to do it that way. I do have my regulation safety boots on though, so I know you'll be pleased with that. Okay, so I got the vapor barrier underneath. I have squared away my block here. Looks pretty good right there. And I'm going to try and hit it and hope that it does not split. Okay, it's not bad. The nail hasn't gone in as far as I would like it to. It's in, and this block is already rock solid. I'm going to try and use the stronger charge for the other one. Now, it still may split the wood, which I don't want, but I'm going to try it and see how it works. Well, you know what? I mean, this is so solid, I'm not going to do that. Because if I do split it, these are impossible to get out. They're really hard. And when you do pull them out, they pull out a chunk of the concrete below. And that might make it impossible for you to put the next nails in. So I'm going to put another one of the same charges in. And this is incredibly secure right now. So it'll only be more secure when I put the other one in, even if it doesn't get all the way down. It has compressed the rubber part a little bit, and that's what you got to do. That's what causes the friction. But right now it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So let's recharge. Reload. That's the spent casing there. In some jurisdictions as well, I think maybe in all jurisdictions, you need to be licensed to use one of these things. You need to have your firearms license, which I thankfully do. So anyway, here's the charge again. I'm using 2 out of 5, so it's relatively not so strong load. I'll grab one more nail. Put the load in first. Oops. Oops again. There we go. Close it up. Put the nail in. Leave the tip out so I can guide the tip into the pre-drilled hole. And here we go. Wow. Okay, that one went in a little further, which is fantastic. This is so rock solid. And this is why I decided to go 4.5 inches with this piece, because now you can't sit a stud on top of these. You could put on a stud and hollow it out or whatever, but I'm going to go stud, stud, and then I'm going to go a few pieces of blocking in the middle. And this is absolutely rock solid. I'm going to show you how far the nails went in. So the second one went in further than the first. You see that? So this one had it rock solid, and it's barely compressing the rubber thing. This one compressed it a lot more, and it is absolutely exactly what I was hoping for there. Good start to what's going to be a solid wall. Okay, so here's the next base plate. And what I've done is I've pre-drilled it again for me to hammer those concrete spikes in. And I pre-drilled it where studs will not fall. That way the studs won't interfere with it. So I'm going to square it up and make sure I hit it with the laser level, make sure it's on, hammer it in. I've put the vapor barrier underneath it already, and then that's it for the base plate. Okay, so that's got it. It is absolutely rock solid. It's not moving at all. And the beauty of having that laser level is you just mark everything up, and then when you need to, you realign everything, and that's it. So I'm going to cut my top plate, and what I'm going to do with the top plate is I'm going to come off of the bottom plate with 2 studs here to be supporting the door, just on either side of the door, shouldering the door, I guess. And then right beside that, up top here, I'm going to notch the top plate. I'm going to do a double top plate. They say that when you're a non-structural wall, non-load bearing wall, you don't need to double up the top plate, but I'm going to double up the top plate, and I'm going to notch out the very top of the top plate up there so that it ties into the wall that I'm doing this way, because this side here is going to be a closet. Alright, so we'll see how that goes. Top plate up now, and I screwed it in. I did find a joist, a floor joist running right across it, so it is in there really good, and I glued it. And see what I did here was I notched this part out here. I notched it from the back out about halfway through, because now that I've got both these pieces screwed in really well, I'm going to take that oscillating tool and cut right through this, and the top plate will end up being 2 pieces, and I will slide that other wall that comes in here, I'll slide the top plate through there, put a second top plate on the top here, a second top plate here, and then bring in that other wall, the top plate, to slide right in here and screw it through, and it will be incredibly strong together. Okay, so I've got the second top plate up, and you can see the notch that I did there, so that'll accommodate the wall that's going this way and making a closet on the other side. Now I'm just going to nail that up, and I'm going to stick frame the rest of it. So this is one way that you can frame a wall. Another way that you can do it is you can build the entire frame on the floor right there, and then just make it a little shorter than you need it to be, and just hammer it all in, nail it all together, and then lift it up. Now I don't do that in general because I don't like doing it. I don't like leaving the wall short on top and then shimming to make it tight. I like to make these studs going up nice and tight against the top and bottom plate, and you get a really strong wall that way. It's just my opinion. But also, because this is such a small wall and you're dealing with this bump out here, it's just not worth it. It's for me, it's quicker and easier to do it this way. And it's just what I'm more comfortable with. You do it whichever way works best for you. All right? So I'm framing the door opening now, and here's something that can happen a lot. This lumber was on sale. It was outside, stored outside, so it's not the straightest lumber. So here you can see it's dead on at the bottom, and it's dead on at the top. But in the middle, look at the wow and the difference between boards. Like, there's a full ½ inch difference there between the boards. And this way you can see there's also a wow. So the way to get rid of that is, the way I do it anyway, is just by clamping it all up. So grab a pair of wood clamps. In this case I'll probably use 2 of them. Clamp the boards together, clamp them on both sides, take it out, hold the clamps there, nail it in, and then you'll be okay. So you see I ended up using 3 clamps. And it's not perfect, but it is much better. I mean, it is rough framing, so it doesn't matter if it's off a bit, but off a ½ an inch is a little crazy. This makes it a lot better. It makes more like a 1/4 inch tops, and we can live with that. Now just hammer the heck out of it. Use a lot of nails, and sometimes even after you do this, and you use a lot of nails, the wood will go right back to being the way it was, but a lot of nails should solve this problem. This is the end of day 1, and by day 1 I mean about 4 hours. The time I spent on this today. I'm just working after my regular work shift. And it's Thursday. I won't get back at this for another few days, but the next thing to do, I've got all the studs in. I'm really happy with how they are. They're nice and firm, and everything's anchored in really nicely. Next thing I'll do is put the door header in and support it, and then I'll install the door. I may do a separate video for the door, because the door is an actual work of art to install the door really properly, and I love doing it. But we'll see, we'll see. I don't want to make this video too long, but that's your basic framing. It's in, and now we need to put the door in, and then you're talking drywall, and that's your closet wall. So thanks for joining me.